Hey biology crew, it's Miss Holland. I believe this is our final lecture on cell respiration, so it's lecture part 4. Let's go ahead and do a quick review before we get started. Now, again, I want to go over your entire process of aerobic respiration. So remember, aerobic respiration means that we're actually requiring air. Again, we took sugar and oxygen from our chloroplast. We ripped it apart into with the process of glycolysis, we shipped that pyruvate into the Krebs cycle. Krebs cycle rips apart, and then we just had our last lecture on the electron transport chain. Now, our final products of aerobic respiration is 36 ATP, water, and CO2. All right, so if we were to look at this as a chemical formula, and again, feel free to stop this video for a moment to write this all down. The formula for aerobic respiration, remember aero means air. We require oxygen in order to start. We got the sugar from either eating or photosynthesizing. We journeyed these two things into the mitochondria and we pumped out our CO2, water, and ATP. Remember also that it's eukaryotes that produce that 36 ATP. Prokaryotes, which are bacteria, can produce up to 38. But for my testing purposes, please remember the 36. Now remember also the connection between our CO2 and water are going to journey down into the chloroplast here. And that's going to go through a process that's known as photosynthesis. So now we're going to take our CO2, our water, and then our sunlight, create that sugar and oxygen, and then we're going to ship that back on up to our mitochondria, and that's our enclosed membrane. You do need to know the formula, so just remember the magic number is 6. You can kind of remember that from the sugar telling you twice, there's 6's here, and then just go and put a 6 next to each molecule. Also, please remember that cell respiration is the mirror image of photosynthesis. So we simply take photosynthesis reactants, and those are cell respiration's products. Photosynthesis's products are now the reactants of cell respiration. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about energy and exercise. Aerobic respiration produces 2 types of energy. One is known as quick energy, and the other one is a little bit more long-term. So the quick energy of our aerobic respiration is number 1, cells can contain enough ATP for just a few seconds of intense energy. We're talking like sprinting, running from a bear, things like that. Once it uses up that ATP, the cells are going to rely on lactic acid fermentation, which can supply the body for about another 90 seconds. After which, lactic acid, which are crystals that will form in your muscles, will start to build up. That causes that burning sensation in your muscles, as well as muscle cramping. If you do not stop to breathe, your muscles will cramp so much that you will fall to the ground or you'll have to simply stop. You also have long-term energy that will happen during aerobic respiration. Long-term energy is when, again, the mitochondria will produce a constant supply of ATP as long as you are breathing, so it needs oxygen to happen. Energy will then get stored in your muscles and other tissues in the form of carbohydrates, and that glycogen can actually get ripped apart at a later time. This is also the reason why when you go to work out, you need to work out for at least 20 to 30 minutes to break apart that stored carbohydrates before your body will actually in turn start to rip apart your lipids, which will give you 146 amount of ATP, giving you that feeling of that second wind, being able to run for like an extra hour. When glycogen is used up, again, the body breaks down other stored molecules, including your fats, for energy. If you're eating a lot of carbs and we're not working out and we're not breaking apart our fats, then of course those carbs and your fats will get stored into your long-term energy, which are your fat molecules. Hope you all enjoyed my lectures on aerobic respiration as well as anaerobic respiration. Keep in mind, as a wrap-up here, aerobic requires air and is going to go into the mitochondria. Also remember, anaerobic respiration is our other pathway that we can take. We stay in the cytoplasm where we go through a process known as fermentation. No oxygen is required, which is why when you're not breathing, you get the muscle cramping from the lactic acid. We can also form alcohol in the cytoplasm during anaerobic, no air respiration, and that alcohol and CO2 will in turn create products like beer, even your bread. Your bread cooks away the alcohol, and the CO2 causes your bread to rise. It's the bubbles that make your bread rise. Also, if you're trying to make beer, you're going to keep the alcohol, and then your CO2 makes the bubbles in the beer. Regardless, your anaerobic makes no more ATP. And so this is why glycolysis is very important in the process of anaerobic respiration, is to kind of keep bringing in that 2 amounts of ATP. I also want you guys to remember that with aerobic respiration, again, you need oxygen. It does happen in the mitochondria, and you need to know the 3 steps. So you need to know that glycolysis happens in the cytoplasm. If we have oxygen, we move into the matrix and go through the Krebs cycle, and then we're going to go to our outer membrane and conduct our electron transport chain. Last but not least, again, boys and girls, please make sure to understand and know the formulas backwards and forwards, and please watch these videos as many times as you would like. I do apologize about the blurriness, and I do apologize about the speakers. For some reason, I just cannot get the technology right. But here are my lectures. I hope they help you, and please make sure to ask me any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that in class. Have a great day, and I will see you on Monday.